Something absolutely crazy happened in Alabama this past week, and Alabama's Nick Saban's response to it has been even more insane. I was honestly in shock, and I might still be a little bit in shock when I saw this and heard this. But just before I get into that negative story of that program's culture that seems to be declining, let's take a moment and talk positive about how grateful we are to be FSU fans and the culture that Mike Norvell has installed in Tallahassee. Mike Norvell has proven to be an amazing hire and has rapidly changed the culture at FSU. When you think about where the culture was when he took over and some of the rumors and some of the things that were said to have gone on under previous regimes, both of them, not just Taggart, but at the end of the Fisher era as well. It's remarkable what Mike Norvell did in really just about a year and a half. A year and a half where he couldn't meet with his players due to COVID, a year and a half where there was turmoil and they were losing games that they had no business losing. What he was able to do to turn the program around has been nothing short of remarkable. The players absolutely love him. Just watch when a player starts to attack Mike Norvell. You think about the Travis Hunter and Hakeem Williams fight. Hakeem wasn't even on campus at that point and was sticking up for his coach. The players absolutely love Mike Norvell. When you talk with any of them and you ask them about the culture, about their relationship with him, it is remarkable to hear them go on and on and on about how genuine he is, about how much he cares about them. Um, Mike Norvell has always talked about service and faith and doing things because they're right and having those relationships. And that absolutely seeps into his players, and his players feel that. And I think that's one of the most remarkable parts of the way that he coaches and the way that he really cares for his team. A lot of coaches say, hey, we care about the player first and then, or we care about the person first and then the player. But Mike Norvell truly, truly lives that. I think he really wants to see them succeed. I love the way that he shares heartfelt and warm messages when certain guys enter the transfer portal. Guys that have been good teammates or guys that have been good locker room guys that just aren't really getting that opportunity to play in Tallahassee. I love the way that he goes to bat for them as they're leaving his program. I think that's so special. I saw just the other day, he tweeted a picture of some shoes that Robert Scott made him. And he literally hashtagged more than just a football player, more than just a number. I think that's really, really special. And it shows the relationship and the character that these guys have with Mike Norvell. Our football players have the highest grades in program history. They're doing an amazing job on the APR front. And that is something that Mike Norvell has continued to improve year over year over year. Big name recruits feel Mike Norvell's energy, and they absolutely want to come and be a part of the FSU family. The fans love him. Obviously, fans will go to bat, tooth, and nail on social media for Mike Norvell anytime somebody says something negative. And they've got way more ammo to do that with after a 10-win season, a transfer portal domination, and recruiting at the high school level picking up as well. Attendance is also skyrocketing. Were you in the stadium last year? Probably, if you're an FSU fan. They did a phenomenal job of making the game day experience better, but at the end of the day, winning fixes that. And the belief that Mike Norvell is the guy is huge. That Mike Norvell entered the season last year, maybe somewhat on the hot seat, maybe somewhat like, hey, this is a prove it to me year after coming off of a year that they went 5-7. I was in attendance for that Duquesne game where he got announced and it was a rain delay and it was nasty out. And when they announced Mike Norvell as the head coach, the roar in Doak Campbell Stadium was louder than I think it was for the rest of the night. That was to start Duquesne. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when we go up for the Southern Miss game after beating LSU week one? People will absolutely fight for their head coach. Merchandise sales also blowing up. Florida State's doing a really, really good job on all fronts. It's because people buy into the program right now. Speaking of merchandise, hey, we've got a deal for you right now that you need to go check out. Garden Gold just dropped the new jerseys. These are the new jerseys that were just released, the ones that the players are going to be wearing this upcoming season. They're available right now on gardengold.com. They're not available everywhere. Fanatics doesn't have them yet. Alumni Hall doesn't have them yet. You need to go get your jerseys now before they sell out. gardengold.com. They're about $100. There's one that's more authentic that's like 140. You can go get it for 15% off with the code NOSLAW. Listen, if you've never used the code before, this is your opportunity. NOSLAW. You get 15% off your order. You save like 15, $16 on a jersey. You're not going to get that deal anywhere else. You need to get your order in quickly. These are going to sell out. These are not going to, they're like the Mike Norvell hoodie. They will go and go quickly. I know a lot of you guys did not like the old uniforms. These are going to go fast. So go get yours today. Gardengold.com. NOSLAW, NOSLAW for 15% off at checkout. Right now, Florida State's football culture is arguably the best it's been since the Bowden years, the good years, and right now there seems to be no end in sight. Meanwhile, Alabama's program is turning into a disaster. This past week, there have been reports that fourth-year defensive lineman Jamil Burroughs is potentially facing removal from the team after physically striking assistant strength coach Josh Chapman. That's right. You heard me correct. You literally have players at Alabama right now attacking coaches there in Tuscaloosa. And if striking a coach wasn't bad enough, you are not going to believe this next part. It has been several days since this has happened, and Alabama still hasn't announced that he has been removed from the team. In fact, sources close to the situation are calling the situation or the decision to remove about a 50-50. Take a moment and think about this. An Alabama player struck a football coach, and Nick Saban is indecisive on whether that player should continue to be on the team. Now, I could go on and on about how far this Alabama's program standards have fallen, but I really just think this speaks for itself. So I'm going to stop here and let you form your own judgment as to how Nick Saban should handle this. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is this a kick off the team kind of offense? Am I making a big deal of this? Let me know what you think down below. I think it's kind of crazy, but again, I want your thoughts. Before we finish the video, I do want to go back to Norvell. FSU was already an extremely iconic and valuable brand before Mike Norvell got here. But he has absolutely restored them back up to the top tier, where guys like Josh Pate, J.D. Pickell, Kirk Herbstreit, David Pollack, Chris Fowler, all over the country, your national reporters, your national commentators are in love with FSU again. And there's one reason. It's what Mike Norvell has done to turn this program back around and get it to where it used to be. Now, Florida State still has work to do on the field. We're not satisfied with just 10-win seasons. Obviously, we have very lofty expectations for this year. But the work that Mike Norvell has done to go from 8 wins in 2 years to 10 wins in year 3 is phenomenal work. And the national media and those that commentate on football get it. And they're proud of the work that Mike Norvell has done, as all FSU fans are. He's basically packing our bags. He's putting us on his back, and he's carrying us out of this horrible football conference. People talk about this all the time, but with all of our conference realignment videos that we do, they comment, man, Florida State sure picked a good time to go out and win 10 games. And I think that is absolutely correct. If Florida State would have floundered last year and gone 4-8, how in the world could they have any leg to stand on to say, hey, we deserve to be out of here. We deserve to move on. And Mike Norvell is a huge part of that. Obviously, we give Michael Alford a lot of credit. We give a lot of folks at Florida State their hat tip and their praise. But without Mike Norvell turning this thing around, I just don't know how much of a leg fans would have to stand on when they're arguing for conference realignment. What Mike Norvell has done at Florida State is truly special, and we'll continue to echo that fact. But when you look at the culture that he's built versus other places like Georgia, like Alabama, like Clemson, I think it's pretty unique. And I really do think that Florida State is set up in the long term to be very successful under Mike Norvell. It starts with the culture first, and then football follows. Mike Norvell's first job when he got here was to fix the culture. He did that rather quickly. And then he also fixed things on the field rather quickly as well. We mentioned conference realignment and trying to get out of the ACC. If you've missed our latest update on that, you can click right here to check it out.